Vanakkam. Hello friends. Last episode of Know Your Roots ended with the imagery of the ancient Tamil man standing atop the Kurinji mountain with a sword made of stone in his hands. We shall begin this episode right from there, the Stone Age. We know that early history of man was classified into the stone, bronze and iron age based upon the material that he used to make his tools. The skeletal remains of humans, those hundreds of thousands of years ago, being very rare to find, the human evolution has been studied by observing the changes in the tools that he used. If you take Stone Age, then again you have Old Stone Age and New Stone Age. And Old Stone Age, which we also know by another term, which is quite popular today as the caveman's diet, a fad diet, you guessed it, Paleolithic, is divided into again the Old, Middle and Upper Paleolithic. The Old or Paleolithic age is from 2.5 million years to 200,000 years before the Common Era. The Middle Paleolithic is between 200,000 to 50,000, and the Upper Paleolithic is between 50,000 to 10,000 BCE. So, during the Old Stone Age, the men were hunter-gatherers. People lived in small groups. They were semi-nomadic or nomadic. They had annual migration patterns that depended upon the ripening of plants or the movement of the herds of animals that they hunted. And there wasn't much development in that man was just like the animals that he hunted. Having said this, let's come to the Tamil country. Professor K.V. Raman, an archaeologist from the Madras University, states that many a time archaeology is chance findings or accidents. Take the year 1924, for instance. The British railways were lying a railroad in the province of Sindh and chanced upon an ancient archaeological site. Sir John Marshall, who headed the ASI then, discovered the Indus Valley civilization. This was indeed the discovery of the century and changed the perspective of the world, especially the Britishers, of India as a land of barbarians. Now, let's come to the Tamil country. In the year 1863, a British geologist by the name Robert Bruce Foote was examining the rock formations in the Pallavaram area, more specifically St. Thomas Mount. He was examining a ballast pit. The rocks in that area are considered to be very old, belonging to the Meso-Proterozoic era, meaning they are 1600 million to 1000 million years old. Now, a ballast pit is a place from where rock has been excavated, and it so happens that in the year 1679, rock from that particular region was blasted by the British government and sent to Calcutta to be used in the tombstone of one Mr. Job Charnock, who is considered the founder of modern Calcutta. There's an interesting story there that we will not go into, but the rock formations themselves were named after Mr. Charnock and hence called Charnockite. Now, while examining the blast pit, Robert Foote found that there were a lot of stone implements, and this he gathered were from the Paleolithic age. For the next 43 years, he conducted a systematic archaeological survey of the entire Kottalayar Valley, that is the Palaru River belt, meaning Madras, Chengalpat, Tiruvallur, and he documented his findings into the prehistory and proto-history of Madras Presidency, and you can see it at the Madras Museum. Amidst the many interesting findings, two were very important. Attirampakam, an area near Chengalpat, where an entire region was strewn with stone implements. You had hand axes, spears, scrapers and flake tools, and some of these hand axes were having workmanship on both sides, what you call bifacial hand axes, and the staggering number of implements found there made the archaeologists to nickname that area as Madras Industries. Now, luminescence dating of around 7,200 artifacts excavated in that region affixed the time date to be 385,000 plus or minus 64,000 BCE. But there were no human fossils found, and for that we had to wait a little longer. Now comes the Kudiyam caves, which are near the Pundi Reservoir in Tiruvallur district. A series of 14 natural rock shelters were found with habitational deposits, meaning that the Paleo man had actually lived there. Again, a lot of stone implements were found. And what was interesting for the archaeologists was that these resembled the Acheulean axis of the cavemen of Africa. Now, a group of archaeologists, among whom Shanti Pappu of Sharma Foundation was one, researched into this, and we know, since we saw in the first episode the out of Africa theory, the M130 marker of Africans arriving here 70,000 years ago, but here was a discovery that dated it back to 200,000 years. Now these archaeologists were able to establish that these were a different species, more specifically belonging to the Homo erectus, who had migrated out of Africa 1.7 million years ago, and the man who had migrated from then resembled, yes, somewhat of an ape, and however he carried with him his Acheulean axe. Over a period of time, this species became extinct, and here we are, the sapiens, anatomically more akin to the modern human. This having been said, there is evidence, archaeological evidence, strewn all over the Tamil country to prove that from the Paleolithic time till now, this region has been continuously inhabited by man. Let me conclude this episode with a very interesting discovery again in Pallavaram, though a little out of our timeline, very relevant. This was in the year 1888. A British archaeologist by the name Alexander Ray discovered a sarcophagus. Now, till then, sarcophagus, which is a coffin made of any material to preserve a mummy, was associated with the civilizations of Egypt, Greece, and Rome. This discovery changed the notion forever. Now, here is where the story becomes more interesting. In the year 2017, a group of archaeologists from ASI Chennai discovered a sarcophagus made of terracotta and established it to be 2,300 years old in Pallavaram, just 2 feet below ground level. Following this, they went back with an order from the Madras High Court to excavate regions around Pallavaram and Zameen Pallavaram. And you know what happened? The local residents put up a stiff resistance and literally drove back the officials. They were scared that they could be evacuated from their housing sites, and things came to a standstill. So nevertheless, for those of us who were believing that Chennai was born in the year 1639 when the British East India Company bought it from the last viceroy of the Vijayanagar Empire, well, here we are. Chennai and its surrounds have a timeless, ageless settlement history. So we will meet again in the next episode with more on our roots. Thank you. Vanakkam.